Hello my pretties, and welcome back to my kitchen, where the magic of cooking and baking meets the power of the metaphysical. We've got some bread rising over there, and now we're just going to make the main course, some Italian meatloaf. For Italian meatloaf, you're going to need 2 pounds of 90-10 ground beef, 1/2 teaspoon of fine salt. If you're using a coarser salt, you're going to want to double that. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of crushed red peppers, 1 tablespoon of minced dried onion, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and the next one is optional, 1/4 teaspoon of dried Serano peppers. We have pepper bellies in our house, so you can leave that out if you're not one of them. 1 cup of breadcrumbs, 1 15-ounce can of your favorite marinara sauce, 2 eggs, and to garnish, a handful or 1/2 cup of grape tomatoes and some fresh basil. Now let's get started. So let's start by blessing everything. And we are going to bless this for good health and good fortune. I bless and charge this ground beef for good health to be brought to our family. May their lives be fortunate. May their lives be prosperous with all that they do. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. I bless and charge these eggs so that they may work in conjunction with all the ingredients in this meatloaf to bring good fortune and good health to all those that eat it. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. I bless and charge this black pepper so it may work to spice up the lives of all those who eat this meatloaf. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. As I'm blessing it, I realize I forgot to tell you, you need 1 tablespoon of dried oregano. So don't forget to add that in. Bless and charge this oregano so it may work in conjunction with the rest of the ingredients in this meatloaf to bring health and good luck to all those who eat it. Call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. I bless and charge this red pepper so it may work in conjunction with the rest of the ingredients in this meatloaf to bring spice and good luck and happiness, to spice up that good luck to come to fruition. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So much. I bless and charge this garlic so it may work in conjunction with the rest of the ingredients in this to bring good luck and good fortune to all those who eat this meal. Call upon the guardians of the north, the south, east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. I call upon the guardians of the and as you hear my cry, please bless and charge this minced onion right, now that everything is blessed and charged, if your hair is not tied back, let's get that tied back, because you know, hair and spells. But you don't want to end up in somebody's. And then let's grab our apron and let's get started. All right, so with clean hands, let's get this all mixed up. So we have our ground beef already in here, and we're just gonna start dumping. We have the dried minced onions, crushed red pepper, the garlic powder, the black pepper, the optional dried Serano peppers. And you ask, where do you get that? You dehydrate it yourself and grind it up. The dried oregano, the fine salt, your breadcrumbs, and half of the marinara sauce. All right, let's crack the eggs open. We're gonna do one at a time. Now remember, you can clean these eggshells, let them dry, and use them in future spell work, whether it be powders or oils. I believe I only have one oil that has it in, but there's all kinds of spells that need the dried eggshells. All right, now let's get our hands in there. And since this is about good fortune, those are the thoughts you need to have to be fortunate. Think about what that means for you, to be lucky, to have good health. It's very fortunate to have good health. Anyone that has ever been sick, like myself, knows that to be in good health is to be a fortunate thing. But you know what? I have fought cancer 3 times. First time I was about 34, and that was very simple. It was a simple surgery, and then everything was removed. The second time, by the time I caught it, because I found a lump in my throat, it had already metastasized from my tonsils down into my lymph nodes. So that was 7 weeks of radiation and 6 weeks of chemotherapy. During that same year, they also found stage 1 lung cancer, adenocarcinoma. And with that, if you hear me breathing, with that, they have removed just over half of my left lung. They removed the upper left lobe and then part of the lower left lobe. So I know how lucky I was and how fortunate I was, but that whole time, the reason why I'm telling you this story, the whole time is I had a great attitude through it. I knew that I was going to get through it one way or another. And even if I ended up a ghost, but I knew I was going to get through it one way or another, and my life was going to be better for it. And it was. A good attitude brings good things to you. You ever notice when you have that foul attitude or in a bad mood, bad things seem to always happen? Well, I know bad things happen to good people. And sometimes that's just to remind us that life is a beautiful thing. But to have a good attitude on the outcome is best. All right. Okay, we have everything all mixed together. Now, just for good measure, let's do one more charging. Add one more blessing to it. A bless and charge is meatloaf, so it may work to bring good fortune, good health, and a good mindset to all those that eat this. Call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. All right, so let's grab your cutting board. And we're going to grab a little knife. And we are going to cut in half these grape tomatoes. Now this is just for garnish, but I do like how they taste when they're roasted on top of the meatloaf. So just cut them in half. Like I said, this was about a half a cup of whole grape tomatoes. Tomato. Let's call the whole thing off. Anyways, all right, so we got them all cut in half. And we are going to take our fresh basil and we're just going to give it a quick chop to release some of the oils. Here. Oh, I love the smell of basil. It fills the room. All right, so now let's go and add our mixture into our loaf pan. And we want to press it down. Now, if you don't have a loaf pan, and for years when I was young and moved out on my own, I did not have a loaf pan. You just form it into the shape of a bread loaf and call it a day. Put it in a casserole dish and pop it in the oven. Use what you have. You don't have to go out there and buy something if you don't already have it. You can find a way. All right, so we're going to take maybe not all, but a good portion of the remaining tomato sauce. And then trying to keep dirty hand over here, clean hand over here, and then just spread it around on the top. You can also use ketchup, but since we're making an Italian meatloaf, I wanted to use the marinara sauce for it. Now, as I've mentioned in other videos, I have 4 children. 3 of them happen to be boys. The baby of the family did not like ketchup growing up. What kid doesn't like ketchup? Anyways, so when I would make meatloaf, I would have to take a section and there would be no marinara sauce, because he didn't like that either. Could go on that. You know what he wanted? Mustard on it. That kid wanted mustard on everything, wanted mustard on eggs. And I drew the line when he asked me to put mustard on his PB&J. I said, absolutely not. I cannot go there. All right, so let's take our tomato halves and just put them neatly on top of the sauce, however you want. This is to nourish your family and to bring good fortune and good health to them. So we're not looking to take pictures. So I mean, I will take a picture, but you know, this is for your family. So however you want it to look. And if you want to impress your family, make it look beautiful. And then we want to sprinkle our fresh basil on there. Sticking. The knife is like, ooh, I'm going to come to you. is ready to go into the oven at 425 for 45 minutes to an hour. You want to check it, and if you still need, depending on your oven, if you still need a little more time after that, go ahead and let it take a little longer. And then I'll see you when it's done. And just like that, our Italian meatloaf is done. Enjoy. I'll see you again on the path.